Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our show tonight. Thank you for being here, by the way. We appreciate it very, very much. I'm going to just wait for a few more minutes to get a few more people here into our program on the chat room before we begin this program. But I want to welcome everybody here. I also want to ask everybody, please hit the like button if you will, to let us know how much you appreciate this show and let YouTube know how much you appreciate this show. It goes into the analytics. YouTube looks at a lot of the analytics to make sure whether they're going to allow anybody else to see this program or not. But we appreciate all your efforts at giving a like to us. Give us a thumbs up, which is a like, here in this chat, and let them know how much you appreciate it. Also, if you have any comments after this program, put them in the bottom underneath the comments here, or underneath this video here in the comments, to let YouTube know what's going on. And also, if you have any questions or comments for me, I will gladly answer any and all comments that you put there. Also, right below this video today, in the top of the program description, you're going to see our email address. You're going to see our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. You're also going to see our post office box, P.O. Box, 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code here is 28655. We'd appreciate that also. Also, if you want to help donate to this program, you can do it here on the Super Chat, Super Thanks, or you can even go to below this program description and drop us a donation in our PayPals. We have 2 PayPal locations, and we also have a Venmo location. You can give us donations there. We greatly appreciate it to help keep this program on the air. Thank you so much for that. Now we've got a few more people here. Demon Catman's here. Richard Smith is here. Sleeping Volcanoes here. Let's see how many other people are here in the chat today. Looks like Belinda's here. Thank you very much for being here, Belinda. We appreciate it so much. I'm hoping we get a few more people here in the chat. Now, I feel like I have to use my oxygen. Sometimes I don't need it, but now I feel like I do, so I'm putting it on. Hope that you guys don't mind me doing that. Now, folks, we have a lot to talk about tonight. The first thing I want to talk about is a ship, a United States ship that was run into by a tanker ship. It was a U.S. tanker ship that was run into carrying jet fuel over in England, and they were run into by another container ship. Let me show you this information here. I think it's going to blow your mind. This is live video from England. Okay. The footage shows the cargo vessel So Long maneuvering in port near Liverpool, England, at 20:22 hours, which is 8:22 p.m. in England. Seeing this video matches reports of the ship that was involved in the incident that happened today. The location was confirmed by the building seen in the video. Okay, the video seen here in the bottom of your corner of your video there just a moment ago was the Port Authority. Okay, the boat was hit was a container ship belonging to the United States, or the tanker ship belonging to the United States. The container ship was a foreign flag ship. Okay? It ran into the tanker ship carrying jet fuel from the United States. Okay? Fixed-wing aircraft, lifeboats, and nearby vessels with firefighting capabilities have all responded to that ship collision. Okay? They've all been called to the incident. It says for more help, more updates like this, share and subscribe to CNN News 18. U.S. flag tanker, the Stena Immaculate, carrying jet fuel, caught fire and began leaking jet fuel out into the North Sea off the northeast coast of England after collision with the Portuguese flag container ship. Okay? This is the latest information we have on it. This is continuing video from England. Okay? I believe that's the container ship, not the container ship, this is a fuel tanker from the United States. Okay, coming into port. But allegedly it caught fire and began leaking jet fuel out into the North Sea. Okay? I want to show you that. I thought it was important enough to show you what's going on here. Okay? Run into the United States tanker ship carrying jet fuel was run into by a Portuguese container ship earlier today. During the collision, it caught fire, and I believe the fire has been out. Okay? That's the latest we have about that. Arnold Smith says Twitter was hacked. Doesn't surprise me. Twitter's been getting hacked. Now, I'm going to talk about a lot of things today. I'm going to get to the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to talk about the volcanoes. And I'm also going to talk about earthquakes happening in the Pacific Northwest around the Strait of Juan de Fuca and over in the Puget Sound area. So stand by with me for a few minutes here. Okay? I first want to talk about something I should have told you about earlier this week. Okay? Earlier last week, I should say. Now, what you're seeing here at the top of this letter here that I obtained from the government, right here are two different signatures by President Biden. Both of them are the same. Both of them look the same. These were signed by an automatic signature machine from the Oval Office. An automatic signature machine from the Oval Office. What makes it different? I'll show you this. Here's a signature announcing Biden was dropping out of the presidential race last September. The difference between this and this. This is the original signature of Joseph Robinette Biden. Right here, this is an automatic signature machine. Now, why are we giving you this information? The simple answer is this. Everything that Biden has done has turned to great garbage. Okay? Not turned to wine, but turned to great garbage. Everything that he's done, all the executive orders he's made, all, and I'm talking about all, the pardons that he has given were signed by that signature machine. And if that's the case, everything that's signed by that signature machine is trash. It's garbage. It's invalid. That means everything he signed with that doesn't make any legal sense at all. It's not legal. Okay? So that opens up a big question here. Just before Biden left office, he pardoned about 1,000 people, including his son, and many other people involved with January 6th. I believe that means those pardons don't lack any merit. Don't lack merit at all. They're garbage. Which means those auto pens don't mean anything. Bella Virgo is here from England. Thanks, Bella, for being here. Auto pen means it's not his signature, so it does not count in court. That's the truth. Okay? Unreal. Unreal. So right now, I believe what the FBI is looking into, and also our Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, is looking into, is seeing if what he's done is illegal. What his people have done is illegal. Biden obviously didn't sign those. It was people involved with his administration that signed those. Okay? So that makes it illegal. Biden, the president, must sign everything. Any president must sign his own signature. Every executive order that you've seen has been signed by Trump. You've seen him do it. You've been seeing him put his signature on every executive order he's issued. That's what should be there. Okay? That's what should be there. Arnold Smith says it's a digital signature, digital copy of his signature, which could be used on any document. Yes, but whether it or not it is real or can be used in court as a legal document is a completely different story. Okay? That's a completely different story. Okay? That happened just before Trump took office. Okay? Now, why am I showing you that? I think we have a lot of things to talk about tonight. Okay? Now, there is something else that's very important here. Something else that I believe is very, very important. Okay? Right here. Actually, right here. No. Right here. Okay? This is a letter that Tariq Johnson used to be, he's a former U.S. Capitol Police officer, lieutenant, meaning a high-ranking position within the U.S. Capitol Police. Now I want to read this with you. Let me enlarge it so you can all see it. Okay? Okay, the subject here of this letter is the United States 2025 Presidential Inaugural Security. He says, first, I would like to thank you for taking the time to read this letter, as I know you're currently very busy. So I want to get right to the point. I was informed by multiple sources that on January 20th, 2025, an uninvited, non-ticketed guest was allowed to attend Trump's signing-in ceremony on January 20th. He said, I've been told that a said guest was allowed to bypass security screening and was in possession of a handgun. If the invitation was impromptu, that would mean that a guest was not vetted in advance by either the United States Capitol Police or the United States Secret Service. To make matters worse, I've been told that this unvetted guest was spotted in multiple locations where President Trump was only feet away from him. Finally, my sources tell me that the United States Capitol Police official that's involved is under investigation because of this incident, and he was transferred out of the Protective Services Bureau until the conclusion of this investigation. The information I have outlined above was formulated, that he's formulated a few questions I hope you have, your designee will answer. This letter was written to the Capitol Police Chief. Question number one. Is it true that a high-ranking United States Capitol Police official invited an unvetted armed guest in the U.S. Capitol during President Trump's swearing-in ceremony? Second, if the guest was in fact armed, were they law enforcement official on duty working the inaugural event? If the person was law enforcement in a non-duty status, Were they armed in the Capitol near President Trump? 4. If the high-ranking official is under investigation, why were they just transferred and not placed on administration leave pending the outcome of this investigation due to the very serious nature of the allegations? 5. Will closed-circuit television footage be made public in the event, in fact, the situation did occur? I understand the U.S. Capitol Police does not have to submit to FOIA requests, but for the purpose of transparency, would you be willing to waive that privilege in this case and provide investigative updates to the public? To close, my concern is, and I'm sure you can appreciate this, if these allegations are true, it would appear that under your leadership, President Trump may have been provided a level of security far below that of former President Joe Biden. As you know, President Trump has had 2 confirmed assassination attempts on his life, with one resulting in him being shot. This indicates that the threat level there is a high, and unvetted armed guests should not be allowed. This indicates that the threat level here is very high, and that uninvited armed guests should not be allowed. That was one letter. Let me show you the continuance of this right here. Again, this guest was armed near the President of the United States of America. I truly hope all allegations are all false or misinterpreted. I hope you will provide President Trump the level of security all Americans expect as we enter the twilight of your term as Chief of Capitol Police. I would appreciate a response from you or your designee within 5 business days from the date of this letter. The date of this letter is February 27th. Thank you for your, actually it's March 7th. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Sincerely, Tariq E. Johnson, former Lieutenant, United States Capitol Police. Well, folks, guess what? Things are a lot worse than they appear. They're a lot worse than they appear. Let me show you this. I was going to wait until Monday, which is today, for this, but things are developing rapidly, so I must inform the public now in a series of tweets. Here's what's happening. Last Tuesday, the State of the Union speech, a House staffer gained entry into one of the House office buildings that leads to the U.S. Capitol building. That staffer was in possession of a gun. He was eventually caught and arrested. What makes the problem even worse, I'm told, the staffer asked, and after his arrest, what the problem was with, as no one said anything to him about bringing the gun in the previous day. This is the 4th instance of a gun being brought into the building policed by the United States Capitol Chief J. Thomas Manger since Trump was elected president. What is frightening to me is that both the dates that President Trump attended events at the Capitol was on a date where a gun made it into one of the buildings. And I'm told one of the guns made it into the room where President Trump was actually in and only feet away from him. This can't happen. I'm still getting more information on this, and I'll have more tweets tomorrow. Tariq K. Johnson, former Lieutenant, U.S. Capitol Police. Now, I don't have any more information from Tariq Johnson, okay? But I wanted you to see this. Again, President Trump has had 2 assassination attempts on his life, one in which he was shot. Now, there have been 4 other attempts now. 4 other attempts where guns got very close to him. Guns got very close to him. What we're asking now, and I'm asking the Secret Service, I'm asking the FBI, Kash Patel, to look into this and find out what is true. I want to know who this staffer was that was arrested by the Capitol Police. I want to know why he was carrying a gun and when it was. When it was. And how many times has he been carrying a gun within the Capitol? I want those answers. I don't want them hid. That's why I'm talking about it. I don't want this information hidden and swept under the carpet. As a citizen of this country, as a conservative man, and representative of this program, I think we all need to know what's going on. We have that opportunity, we have that duty to know what's going on. Now, I understand we have people from other countries, including England here, and Canada. But we all deserve to know what's going on. The President of the United States' life is in danger here. Okay? We don't want anything else to happen to him. But on the same token, I think the United States public deserves answers. I think the answers deserve to come out. And I don't want them hid. I'm going to be writing to my U.S. congressman tonight. I'll write to the U.S. senators and whoever else I have to talk to get this information out. Okay? I think we deserve answers here. Okay? I believe we deserve answers here. Now, I spoke with Dave Delisle, who is my contact over near Ontario, Canada, last night. I also spoke to Barry Prince, who's on the Revolution Radio Network with this program every Sunday night. I spoke to them both on the air last night. Canada has a new Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is just another left-wing elected official. The new Prime Minister of Canada is just another left-wing official. I have questions about this. The biggest question I have is if President Trump will still take in Canada as a 51st state and allow somebody so left-wing that he's communist. He's actually a communist left-wing dictator. Okay? He's a communist left-wing dictator. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? I'd like you guys' opinion of you guys who live in Canada. Yes, I spoke to Barry Prince and Terrence Canada, Western British Columbia, Canada, last night. And I also spoke with Dave Delisle over in Ontario to the east. I'd love to have everybody's input. What do you think should happen in Canada? What do you think is going to happen in Canada? Okay? Everything that I've had seen since last night is not good. Everything that I've seen since last night is not good at all. Okay? I think we need answers. Okay? I think we need answers. Ring of Light Crafts is here. We appreciate you being here. Now, yes, I'm talking about politics here. That's because what we're talking about here is very pertinent, and it may mean answers to the whole country and to the world, the entire world. I believe we need answers here. Okay? Catherine Sigerson over in Saskatchewan, Canada, says he's known as a carbon tax carny. Carbon tax carny. His last name is Carney. Okay? He's another lefty. He believes in the Green Deal. The Green New Deal. The Green New Deal is a bunch of crap. Okay? President Trump canceled the United States out of the Green New Deal. We want nothing to do with it. I know President Trump was talking about Canada being the 51st state. In order to do that, Canada must also give their people more freedom. Must give their people more freedom. And if we do take Canada as a 51st state, your taxes are going to go down. Your country is going to become better for having joined the United States. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. Our connected neighbor on our border, large country. We need you and you need us. It'll also give you more military protection as well. Lower taxes, more military protection, and also your food and other products taxes will go down, and your prices will also go down. Better situation for everybody. What will Carney do? What will Carney do? Okay? Don Patoka says the new Green Deal is like a watermelon. Green on the outside and communist red on the inside. I agree with that statement. I very much agree with that statement. Richard Smith says, if New Brunswick and Nova Scotia could join New England, I would be happy. I don't care what the rest of Canada does. I totally understand that. I totally get that, Richard. A lot of areas in Canada want to join the United States, and I think that's still up for grabs. I hope it happens. I sincerely hope it happens. Now, does anybody have any questions for me regarding what we talked about? Mr. Carney, who's now the Prime Minister of Canada. We talked about the U.S. Capitol Police. We've also talked about the U.S. tanker ship carrying jet fuel in England was run into by a Portuguese container ship. Anybody have any questions? Richard Smith says, Carnival Carney Clown of Canada. Yes, I get that. I totally get that. Brokefish Inn is here. I'm glad to see you here. Now, one more thing before we talk about earthquakes. Yes, we're going to talk about earthquakes. This gentleman right here. What a joke. Yes, I have in the past years, not even recently. I have in the past years seen some of his shows, not all of them, but a handful of his shows throughout the years. I've only heard him on the air on the radio once or twice. I don't respect this man. He's very ill. I think he's mixed up upstairs, but guess what he told us today? Howard Stern today demanded that all Trump supporters stop listening to his radio show. Howard Stern demanded that all Trump supporters stop listening to his radio show. Unreal. Unreal. It's crazy. Joe Shinpaw says, was it poor seamanship over there in England on the U.S. ship or the Venezuelan tanker, or not Venezuelan, but the Portuguese container ship? I don't know. I don't know. I believe it's too early to understand what's going on there. But I want to show it to you because I thought it was important. Catherine says in the chat here, Carney said in his speech he is not a politician. And he did ask for help. He's out on his own. Keep that in mind. Yes, Carney is out on his own. Now, I also found out, okay, most of Canada did not vote for Carney to be Prime Minister. I believe it was said that only 4% of Canadian citizens voted for Carney. 4%. Who put him in there? His constituents, his political constituents in the Canadian Parliament. Carney's constituents voted to get him in there. Unreal. My dear friend S. Nordis here. Appreciate you being here. Really appreciate you being here. Catherine Sigurdsson said, Carney got no vote from the people. I agree. Everything that I've seen so far last night into today shows nobody in Canada voted for him except his political constituents in Parliament. Incredible. And Pickering says the accident out at sea off the coast of England was bad. Aaron Smith says, and I verified this also, Carney does not live in Canada, he lives in England. Unreal. He doesn't live in Canada. He's even been riding, which means no seat in Parliament. He not even had a riding, which means he has no seat in Parliament. He's a Prime Minister with no seat in Parliament. It's incredible. He's not sworn in yet. Yeah, that should be interesting to find out if he gave up his British citizenship a week ago. That would be very interesting. And in most climates, political climates, that would make him ineligible to be the Prime Minister or President of any country. My opinion. Mark just talked about Howard Stern here. Says, there go a lot of Sirius XM subscribers. You're right. You're right. I don't like Howard Stern at all. Not at all. Never have. Aaron Smith says he's not even able to enter the House of Parliament until he wins a seat. Which means I believe if what you're saying is right, that means he can't even be Prime Minister legally. He can't go into the Parliament unless he wins a seat, which means he needs to be elected. Unreal. An unelected Prime Minister, and he wants to enter the Parliament. I guess it's not going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in Canada. I guess it remains to be seen. But I would like information from all of you. Send me that information in an email. I want to be able to discuss this intelligently here on this program. Yes, I've done a lot of soul searching and a lot of investigating on my own today since I talked to Barry Prince last night and Dave Delisle from Ontario last night. It's unreal. Unreal. You guys are talking about something that happened over in Anchorage today? What happened over at Anchorage? Total Vagabonds from Ireland's here. Welcome. Appreciate you here. Thank you so much. I appreciate Richard Smith putting in the information about earthquakes that are going on as we speak. I really appreciate that. Tinny Pearl just gifted 5 emergency management memberships here on our program. Mark was gifted, Carol was gifted, Linda Goatil was gifted, Tony Otto was gifted, and Al Sanchez is here. Please, guys, if you will, please thank Tinny Pearl for your memberships. These are 30-day memberships to our program here on YouTube. Okay? Now, I was not able to get on the air on Saturday because I wasn't feeling good, and Sunday I did not come on the air to do my Sunday school program for the first time in years. I think I missed 2 Sunday school programs in 6 years, and I've only missed 5 total programs here in the last 6 years I've been on the air. That's pretty good. I wasn't feeling good at all. I had a lot of pain Saturday and Sunday. A lot of back pain and muscle pain all over my body. So again, I would like to ask you all for your prayers and positive thoughts in my direction. Ruth B. says there was a 6.2 earthquake yesterday in Iceland. That earthquake is related to volcanic action over in Iceland. That earthquake is directly related to magma underneath the surface in that country of Iceland. Okay? But it's not just that. Guess what also happened? Guess what happened yesterday evening? Right here. This was a 6.7 magnitude earthquake. 6.7 magnitude earthquake over near Jan Mayen Island, north of Iceland there. Okay, it belongs to Norway. Belongs to Norway. 6.7 earthquake. They immediately downgraded to a 6.5. It's now on the USGS map as a 6.5 earthquake. Now, I have a lot of evidence about that. Okay, let me show you some evidence here. USGS can do whatever they want to do, and they do. They do whatever they want to do. It doesn't make it right, does it? Doesn't make it right at all. Look at this, guys. Again, they downgraded this. They downgraded it. It was not a 6.5 earthquake at all. It came in as a 6.7 earthquake. 6.7 earthquake. Okay? They downgraded it. Let me show you something else real quick here. Let me reduce this in size. I didn't know it was going to be that large, or I would have just put it up in a separate pane here, separate window. Look what we're seeing here. Okay? It came out as a 6.7. They downgraded it to a 6.5. Look what they're showing here. They're not even showing a 6.5 earthquake here. No details. They said there's 58 stations reporting this earthquake. No station details contributed, meaning they are not willing to publish the seismograph details. They don't want that information getting out. Look at this. 6.2. 6.2. 300 station reporting. 308 seismographs reporting what this earthquake was. I studied the data. There's no way in heck that this was a 6.2 earthquake, and USGS still has it on the map as a 6.5. Okay? There's no way in heck it's a 6.2. I studied all the details, all the data. There was actually data showing a 7.1 earthquake. One seismograph reported this as a 7.1 earthquake, and that seismograph may have been at the epicenter. That's very common, where the closest seismograph near the epicenter of the earthquake recorded exactly what the earthquake was. Okay? But they did not even report a 7.1 earthquake. There are a lot of seismographs that were reporting 6.7. A lot of seismographs were reporting 6.7. I had a lot of 7.2s. I had a lot of 6.8s. I saw a lot of 6.4s. I saw a lot of 6.1s. Okay? But there were enough earthquakes, seismographs recording what was going on, that they had to post at least a 6.5. Okay? I believe this was at least a 6.7 and even possibly a 7.1 earthquake yesterday evening. It happened after 10:30 p.m. yesterday evening. Okay? I showed you the earthquake on the map. I showed you the earthquake here on the map. Right there. Okay? It's unreal what the USGS does. They lie, they lie, they lie. And says they never tell the truth. You're right. They never do. It's incredible what they get away with. Now, anyway, I've got a lot I want to show you tonight. I want to show you earthquakes literally everywhere. Literally everywhere. I want to show you this. Yellowstone last Tuesday. Yellowstone last Tuesday, there was a 3.7 earthquake in the Norris Geyser Basin that I'm showing you right now. This is the Norris Geyser Basin right here. Okay? A lot of things have happened. And a lot of things continue to happen here in Yellowstone. Now, I had some questions that Barry Prince asked me last night on the Revolution radio station he was talking on. Asked me about Yellowstone. Yes, we've had a lot of earthquakes at Yellowstone, and they continue to come in. If you want more information about earthquakes in Yellowstone, you can go on the internet and look up the Utah State Geological Survey, the Utah State Seismogram. Okay? You can just put in USGS, or not USGS, Utah State Seismological Agency, Utah State University, okay? It's their seismological department. Once you get there, you can go in and look at the earthquakes in Yellowstone. You can look at the earthquakes in Idaho. You can look at the earthquakes in Utah. United States, or not the United States, I'm sorry, the Utah State Seismological Department at Utah State University polices all the information over at Yellowstone. They have all the information. Okay? Why am I talking about this? Because this is just the latest earthquake to hit here that's large enough to make the seismographs go crazy. Okay? Last Tuesday evening they had a small 3.7 earthquake. 3.7 earthquake. Near the Mammoth Norris Geyser Basin in Wyoming. This happened at 6 p.m. last Tuesday evening. Okay? Seismologists said a few people in Yellowstone reported the shaking. A few people in Yellowstone, probably at the Yellowstone Inn, reported the shaking. This earthquake is typical of the Yellowstone region, not a sign of any significant unrest. This is not a sign of significant unrest in Yellowstone. Okay? Now, Yellowstone Norris Geyser Basin is home to some truly extreme geothermal features. Extreme geothermal features. These thermal features you see in this photograph. The highest temperature ever recorded in Yellowstone was 459 degrees, was measured in a drill hole at Norris Geyser Basin. A drill hole that was 1,087 feet deep in Norris Geyser Basin. Again, that is at the top of the volcano. It's at the top of the volcano, guys. 1,087 feet below the surface. Intense heat. Intense heat and activity in the area. There are very few thermal features at Norris. There's more features over at the basin over in Yellowstone, near Yellowstone Inn. Okay? Those few features at Norris have a boiling point of 199 degrees at that elevation. Norris Geyser Basin shows evidence of having had thermal features for at least 115,000 years. The Norris Geyser Basin has evidence of having had these thermal features that I'm showing you right here. Okay? They've had these features for 115,000 years. That's according to the National Park Service. The features in this basin change daily. They change with frequent disturbances from seismic activity and water fluctuations at the surface level. They have water beneath the surface. And depending on what is going on beneath that, the water temperatures can skyrocket. The water fluctuation tables fluctuate, and as they grow stronger and as the temperature goes up, that's what causes the geysers. Okay? This Norris Geyser Basin area was named after Philetus W. Norris, the second superintendent of Yellowstone, who provided the first detailed information about the thermal features here at Norris. Okay? Now, while Yellowstone is frequently rattled by small earthquakes, averaging 1,500 to 2,500 earthquakes per year, the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory notes that larger damaging earthquakes have also struck the area. The largest earthquake ever recorded was a magnitude 6. A very strong magnitude 6 earthquake that occurred on June 30th, 1975. It was along the north-central boundary of the Yellowstone caldera, just a few miles southeast of the Norris Geyser Basin. No injuries were reported, and all park campgrounds and facilities remained open. Now, I was there just before this earthquake hit. I was over here about June 25th, 1975, right before that magnitude 6 hit. Okay? I've been all over the Yellowstone area. I visited Yellowstone as a young man, visiting over at the Yellowstone beautiful Old Faithful Geyser. I've been in the Yellowstone Inn. I've been at the fishing bridge in Yellowstone, Yellowstone River, Yellowstone Lake area. I'm very familiar with it. I last was over here about 2002, 2003, right after the fire that gutted through this area. Been there, done that. But Yellowstone is moving. Yellowstone is moving. Now, I have also explained in programs similar to this we have here tonight that other activity besides that 6.0 that happened in 65 or 75 happened. Okay? West of Norris Geyser Basin, there was a 7.1, 7.2 earthquake, and now scientists are saying it was probably an 8.0 earthquake that happened over west of Yellowstone. Let me show where it happened. Let me bring up the USGS map here. Let me take our banner down. Let me take our webcam down here. Okay, I'm going to take you over here to West Yellowstone here on the map. Come on. This is Cascade, Idaho. Okay, this is south central Idaho. We had a 2.4 earthquake here today. Notice where it happened. It happened on fault lines over here. This is west of Yellowstone. That's also west of the western part of the Yellowstone magma chamber. This was a 2.4 minor earthquake. There's a 1.7 here at Smiths Ferry, Idaho. Let's go over here, east over here to Yellowstone. I want to show you what we're seeing here. Okay? Come on, you crazy thing. Let me do this. Here we go. This is Hebgen Lake Estates. This is Hebgen Lake Estates here. Right here. Okay? You see, this is northwest of Yellowstone here. Northwest of Yellowstone. Hebgen Lake Estates is where we had a 7.1 earthquake that they said it was here in 1959. Okay? What happened? What happened? This was not a volcanic earthquake. This earthquake here at Hebgen Lake Estates was not a volcanic earthquake. This was a fault zone. This was a fault zone west of Hebgen, or west of Yellowstone, Hebgen Lake Estates. Scientists are now saying that it was not a 7.1, it was an 8.0 earthquake. Very dangerous, very, very large, major earthquake. Major earthquake here. It was a major earthquake at 7.1, and now scientists are saying it was an 8.0. Here at Hebgen Lake Estates, right now, right here now. This is a 0.8 microquake here at Hebgen Lake Estates. Now, I'm going to zoom in here. This earthquake is on the highway here. It happened underneath the highway here. The main drag that leaves Hebgen Lake Estates right here. This is actually Hebgen Lake Estates right here. There's a small airfield here as well. You see that right here. Now, what makes this special? When the Hebgen Lake earthquake hit, right here, see this lake here? There was a dam here. The dam was so damaged that it closed off water leaving Hebgen Lake. There was a small stream here, was almost a river, and the damage from the earthquake closed this lake off. Now it's nothing more than a lake. Okay? That's what happened in 1959. About 10 people were killed. 10 people were killed by that earthquake here at Hebgen Lake Estates in 1959. The 6.0 over in Yellowstone in 1975, no deaths, no injuries, but it was reported by many people that were in the area. Okay? Right here. Let's go over westbound here. Right down here. Okay? This is Yellowstone Lake here. Yellowstone Lake. Right here is Old Faithful Geyser facility here. Old Faithful Geyser facility here. There's a trading post, there's a couple of hotels here, and everything else, but this is Old Faithful Geyser area here. Okay? That's what's here. Norris Geyser Basin is further to the north here. Norris Geyser Basin is right here. Then we have Mammoth Geyser Basin further up here to the north. Mammoth Geyser Basin's up here. Any questions about this? Any questions about this? Again, this was a minor microquake here, 0.8 microquake at Hebgen Lake Estates. Further to the northwest here, was Ennis, Montana. ENNIS, Montana. This is a 1.1 tremor here. 1.1 tremor. But USGS has this as a quarry blast. Look at where it's at. It's actually north of the quarry here. North of the quarry. This may very well be just a tremor. This is a seismic area. Yes, we do have some quarry blasts down here occasionally, but this is far north of the quarry. So I don't believe this is a quarry blast. Okay, let's go south here. I'm going south here to Utah. Salt Lake City, Utah. This is a 0.4 microquake here today. This happened this afternoon. This happened at 3:51 p.m. Eastern Time, which is actually 1:15 p.m. Mountain Time today. This is a 0.4 microquake. This is also the same location that I talked about last week, where Salt Lake City had a 5.6 earthquake on March 6, 2018. 5.6 earthquake, March 18, 2018. Okay. Richard Lyon is asking how many miles long and how many miles long and wide is Yellowstone? Yellowstone magma chamber is 11 Grand Canyons in size. 11 Grand Canyons in size. Yellowstone magma chamber is huge. Huge. The magma chamber reaches down to northern Utah, all the way down from Wyoming, Idaho, and into northern Utah, and goes all the way to the Canadian border. Sorry about that. 11 Grand Canyons in size, from the Canadian border to northern Utah. Huge. Huge magma chamber. Any more questions? Now, I'm going to talk now about the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to base most of my observations tonight here in the area right here, which is the Strait of Juan de Fuca here, the body of water coming in off the Pacific Ocean into Washington State here near Tacoma, Seattle area. Okay? I'm going to talk about various islands over here belonging to Washington. Why? Because I'm going to show you earthquakes and I'm going to show you tremors all throughout this area. That's why I'm going to talk about it. Because USGS is not showing anything. And the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is also showing no earthquakes and no tremors here in this area. I want to show you how wrong they are. Before I do that, let's go over here to the volcanoes. They're not showing any earthquakes whatsoever at Mount Rainier. None. Southeast of Mount Rainier, or southwest of Mount Rainier here. This is Mossy Rock, Washington. Mossy Rock, Washington. They're showing a 1.3 tremor here at Mossy Rock. Tremors. We go down here to Mount St. Helens. And yes, I'm going to show you seismograms, readouts from the seismographs at Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens tonight. I'm going to show you what's going on. USGS is reporting a 1.0 tremor here at Mount St. Helens. This is in the foothills of Mount St. Helens near the bottom western part of the volcano. Okay, 1.0 tremor. This is 3.2 kilometers deep, 1.5 miles deep inside the volcano. 1.5 miles deep inside the volcano. This earthquake at Mossy Rock, 1.3 tremor, is actually 8 miles deep. This earthquake is 8 miles deep. It has nothing to do with volcanoes at all. This 1.1 tremor here at Mossy Rock is 8 miles deep. Okay? But again, They're still not showing us any pertinent information about anything here. That's why I'm mad. That's why I get upset. Not showing anything. The only earthquake they're showing here of any consequence is down here on the San Andreas Fault here at the Triple Junction off Northern California coast. Okay? This is the San Andreas Fault here. The San Andreas Fault starts off the coast of Northern California, then it comes and runs all the way through the state of California into northern Mexico. Then it leaves northern Mexico and drives southbound through the Gulf of California, and then it follows the coastline of southern Mexico, the San Andreas Fault. This earthquake on the San Andreas here right now, off the coast of Northern California, is a 1.0 tremor. 1.0 tremor right just south and east of the Triple Junction. The Triple Junction is where the San Andreas Fault, the Cascadia Subduction Zone you see running to the north, and the Gorda Escarpment here. That's called the Triple Junction. 3 earthquake faults that meet right here. Okay? Right here. Now I'm going to get rid of this here, and I want to show you what we have for you. I'm going to show you tremors all over the Pacific Northwest. I think you deserve to see it. Let's start here at Fildago Island. Fildago Island. Okay? We'll get rid of the map here. I'm going to put up my webcam again so you can see me here. But I want to show you what's going on here. Again, this is in the Puget Sound area. Okay? It's just north and east of the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The body of water heading in from the Pacific Ocean over towards the Seattle area. Look at this. Fildago Island here. Look at all the tremors here. I studied this earlier. There are no earthquakes on this particular seismogram. These are all tremors. These are all tremors. And yet, USGS is telling us there are no tremors here. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is telling us there are no tremors here. There's probably close to 100 tremors here on this seismogram alone. And yet, the agency wants us to believe nothing's happening here. Let me show you now the tremor map. This is the tremor map. Okay? Notice where we're at. Okay? We're over here on the west or the eastern side of Victoria, British Columbia on the Vancouver Island. Okay? Over here, just east of the Strait of Juan de Fuca. All these islands here, just north of Seattle here. I'm going to show you the seismographs. I'll show you the seismograms coming off the seismographs at these places. This is the actual energy that I'm going to show you. And yet, the agency says nothing's going on here. The agency would have us to believe that nothing's going on here. Nothing. Not one living thing. Not anything here in Oregon, and not anything down here to the south in Northern California. Not one cotton-picking tremor here. Not nothing. Yet I just got through showing you probably close to 100 tremors over in northern Washington. 100 tremors in northern Washington. And yet the agency says there's nothing going on. Fildago Island says there is. A ton of tremors here. A ton of tremors, and yet the USPS denies it happened. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network says it didn't happen because they didn't put it up. We have to go digging on these seismograms to find out what happened. The seismograms are graphic documents that come from the seismograph. Seismograms are documents coming from the seismograph, the machine. Show us graphs of the earthquakes and tremors hitting in various places, including at volcanoes that I'm going to show you tonight. Yes, we're going to talk about some of these volcanoes tonight. Incredible. Incredible. Richard Lyon says, Ron, why do they lie? Are they just evil or just ignorant? They're not ignorant. They know exactly what's going on. And I keep explaining this every time I talk about the Pacific Northwest or what USGS does or doesn't do throughout the world. The reason they don't want you to see it is because they want you to continue paying taxes. They want you to continue paying taxes. Why? Why? What are they doing to make sure you continue paying taxes? They don't want you to see this. And occasionally, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network has also taken these seismograms off, saying they don't exist, and they do. Because they don't want the public knowing what's going on here. If the public even realized what was exactly going on here, people would move. People would be moving away from the coast. Why? Because within the next 5 years, I believe, scientists are saying it could be 25 years. We're going to have a Cascadia megathrust earthquake event. A 9.0 to a 10.0 megathrust earthquake. Megathrust earthquake, meaning one plate, the Pacific plate and the Cascadia subduction zone, the Juan de Fuca fault, are subducting under the North American continent, the United States plate, the Canadian and the United States plate. We're already seeing earthquakes here. Subduction accounts to almost 3 inches a year. The subduction of the Juan de Fuca plate and the Pacific plate underneath the North American plate constitutes about 3 inches of movement every year. Yes, not all the movement is causing major events. Not all of the movement is causing major events. However, why do you think we're seeing tremors here? Why do you think we're seeing tremors? Because the Earth is moving. The plates are moving here. The plates are moving. Kentucky Blue-Eyed Girl was gifted a membership by Bailey. Kentucky Girl, Space Potato, Mad Wabbit, Alice Gower, Susan Schlippenbach, Angel Rojas, Tanya Ramirez, Tina Johnson, JTR, and Pamela Jean Lego were gifted memberships here. Bailey just gifted 10 memberships, 1-month memberships to our channel here. Congratulations, everybody. Please thank Bailey for your memberships. Thank you so much, Bailey. That's wonderful. We appreciate your generosity and appreciate you helping us grow our channel here. That means a lot. But as you can see here, none of these tremors were even listed on the tremor map. Nothing. Pacific Northwest Seismic Network said nothing was going on. I'm showing them wrong. Why? They want you to continue paying taxes. They don't want you moving out of the area. If the people here along the coastline of Canada, Washington, and Oregon knew, and even California, knew what was going to happen, they would move away from the coastline like right now. They wouldn't stick around because we are going to have a mega thrust earthquake, a very dangerous, life-ending earthquake. It's going to probably happen within the next 5 years. I'm being conservative. I'm being very conservative. Like I said, the scientists are saying 25 years. But even at 25 years, people need to understand what's going on. Would you stick around when you know that there's an earthquake that's going to kill you or kill your family members, unalive you? What would happen? People would not stick around, would they? These towns and cities along the coastline of Canada, Washington, Oregon, and California would move. They'd get out of town. If everybody leaves, there would be nobody to buy anything in town at the stores or shops. As a result, the stores and shops would close as well. If there's nobody living there and no stores and shops open, who's paying taxes? Nobody. If nobody's paying taxes, who's going to fix the roads? Who's going to pay to keep the lights on? Who's going to pay the city employees? Nobody. Nobody. If there's no tax money anywhere, the politicians would be out of a job. Those politicians are telling the agencies, the USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, not to talk about this. Heaven forbid. They're even telling the news media, when you talk about this, keep it open-ended. Don't get into specifics, because they know what's going to happen. And if the earthquake doesn't kill you, what will? Within 15 or 20 minutes after the Cascadia earthquake hits, 9.0, 10.0, the largest earthquake ever seen here in written history. Yes, it happened 334 years ago. But the largest earthquake in written history, our history right now, nobody's ever seen an earthquake that strong. Scientists are saying it's going to happen. And yes, it will. But within 15 or 20 minutes after that earthquake, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? There's going to be a multi-wave tsunami. A multi-wave tsunami. Okay? Not just one wave off of the ocean, but multiple. Probably 100 to 200 waves off the ocean within 15 or 20 minutes after the earthquake. One wave is going to hit, then another, then another, then another. There might be 1 minute between waves, but the wave is going to be anywhere from 50 to 150 foot high. And some scientists believe it might be 1,000 feet high. What doesn't get destroyed by the earthquake, the tsunami will. The water is going to go inland probably many miles. Scientists are saying it's going to go at least to Interstate 5 in Washington and Oregon. And I'm going to say also in California. It's going to go inland to at least Interstate 5 and possibly even farther. It's going to destroy buildings, it's going to destroy homes, it's going to destroy any kind of superstructure, including the Space Needle or anything else that's in its way. Many people are going to die. Many people are going to drown. Only recently has anybody been doing anything to try to mitigate life here. Mitigate life by, I'm saying, building structures above the flood zone. Building structures above the flood zone. Right now, the state of Washington, just outside of Seattle, has built a high school. Build a high school above ground, high enough away from the sea level areas. They're hoping that high school will be big enough that when that tsunami wave hits, it won't be hitting the high school, and that people leaving the Seattle downtown area or other areas might be able to get to this high school and receive shelter from the storm. They're hoping. They're hoping that high school will also be strong enough to withstand the shaking that's going to happen. Okay? They're hoping it will be able to withstand the shaking. This will be the largest earthquake that man has ever seen. This will be the largest earthquake that man has ever seen here. Now, when it hit 334 years ago, the only people here were American Indians. There was one person offshore in a boat, in a ship. He thinks he saw either Mount Rainier or Glacier Peak erupting. That's what he said in his ship's log. That he saw either Mount Rainier or Mount Glacier Peak erupting. Okay? Right here in the Puget Sound area, you see all these tremors here? This is what's actually hitting. 1.1, 1.2, 1.5, 1.7, and 1.8 tremors hitting here. Okay? I'm telling you, folks, this is not the only tremors and earthquakes that are hitting. Let's go and explore some other islands over here in Oregon. Let's look at Guaymas Island here. Look at this. We have some tremors here. We also have some small earthquakes. Some minor earthquakes here. Okay? Now, we don't show much of anything yesterday afternoon into yesterday evening. We see some minor tremors happen here yesterday evening. This seismograph started recording data at 5 p.m. yesterday afternoon. 5 p.m. yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening. What I believe happened here is that this seismograph was turned way down. This seismograph was turned way down. Why? Because it's not hardly recording any information until 6 a.m. this morning. Hardly recording any information until 6 a.m. this morning. Okay? At the top of this seismogram is 5 p.m. yesterday. All we are seeing are 3 tremors here. 3 minor tremors. Very tiny tremors. 1.2 tremors. Okay? But nothing else is here. Now, after 6 a.m., what are we seeing? This black line here is 6 a.m. in the morning on the left-hand side. On this particular seismogram, the horizontal lines are 20 minutes long, represent 20 minutes of time. Okay? What are we seeing here? At 6 a.m. this morning, all we're seeing is tiny tremor activity. Tiny tremor activity here. Nothing else. We're not seeing any magma activity at all. This is not near a volcano. Sometimes when we look at seismograms, we see these horizontal lines thicker. That might be because there is a magma chamber coming in off the Pacific Ocean headed towards the volcano. Then the lines can get thicker and they can get thinner, indicating what they call magma pulse information. Magma pulse data. Meaning the thicker the lines, the more magma coming in through that magma channel. The thinner the lines, less magma coming in through that channel. In this case, we're not seeing any magma at all. We're seeing seismic energy, tremors. Tremors. We don't see a tremor here until 6 a.m. this morning. Long duration tremor activity. That tells me that the seismograph was basically shut down, all but off. They shut it off from yesterday evening until early this morning. 13 hours of no data. 13 hours of no data. I've seen it happen too many times. I've seen this very same thing happen too many times. What do we have happen here after 8 a.m.? On this black line on the left-hand side is 8 a.m. We come over here to about, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. 7 minutes after 8. 8:07 a.m. this morning, we have a 2.9 3.0 earthquake. 2.9 3.0 earthquake here. Over to the left, just about 40-50 seconds later, we have a 2.0 2.1 earthquake. We have a 3.0, then we have a 2.0 2.1 minor earthquake. 3.0 is considered to be a small earthquake. And yet, they're not showing any data at all of that happening here. They're showing no data at all here at Guaymas Island. Nothing. But you see the data on the seismogram. The machine's working. The machine is working. The United States Geological Survey and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network are not working in tandem, nor are they giving us the truth. This is Guaymas Island. Let me show you some more data here. I want to show you Lopez Island, Washington. Look at this. In this case here, we're seeing magnificent tremor activity. One tremor after another. One tremor after another, after another, after another. That's what's going on here. Now, as this happens today, each line here is still representing 20 minutes of time. You see a black line over here after 7 a.m. 7 a.m. over here on the left-hand side, and all times here are Pacific. Okay? We're seeing tremors here. We're seeing tremors here. 1.0, 1.2 tremors. Long duration tremors. Then all of a sudden, the tremors get larger. 1.2, 1.3 tremors here. Incredible. Incredible. Let's hop down here to this afternoon. This afternoon. This is after 12 noon. This line here is after 12 noon. Black line over on the left. Okay? We come over here. We see our first 1.8, 1.9 tremors over here just 13 minutes later. 12:13 p.m. this afternoon. 1.7, 1.8 tremors. And these tremors last about 30 seconds. Just tremor activity. Not quite a 2.0, but it's 1.8, 1.9 tremors. Just about a minute later, we have another 1.8, 1.9 tremor. Okay? Then, over in this red line here, this red line here is going to indicate this is one, over on the left-hand side, this would be 1:15. So at 1:16 p.m. this afternoon, we see another 1.6, 1.7 tremor here. That's all that's happening. Tremor activities. Again, this is in the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. They're not talking about, are they? They're talking here on this seismogram, you can see tremor after tremor, side by side, consistent, constant tremor activity here. Consistent, constant tremor activity here. There's no magma beneath the surface causing these thicker lines here. The thicker lines don't get thinner or get thicker. They stay the same. Magma doesn't do that. These are tremor activity here. This is tremor activity here. Let's see another island here. Okay. Let's go over here to Lummi Island. Lummi, Lummi Island. Okay. Look what's happening here. This is a little bit different. This is a little bit of a different story here. Up at the top here, Lummi Island is over here in northern part of Washington. East of Lummi Island we have Constitution, Mount Constitution volcano. Here at the top of this seismogram we see thicker lines, don't we? At the bottom we see thicker lines as well. Thicker lines turning into thinner lines, turning into thicker lines again. This is called magma pulse signals. Magma pulse signals. There is a magma channel down beneath the ground here running eastbound over towards the volcanoes. This is magma headed in off the Pacific Ocean causing tremors here. Now at the bottom, okay, on this blue line. Well, actually, you see minor earthquakes up here on this red line here. Let me enlarge this so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, this red line here is after (11 p.m.). 2300 hours. You see 23 over on the left-hand side. On this red line, it would be 23:15, which means 11:15. But over here is a different story. It's in the center of the seismogram, meaning this is probably 11. Oh, come on, let me do this. This is probably 11:07 p.m., 11:08 p.m., 11:09 p.m., and 11:12 p.m. last night. Okay? These are tremors. 1.6, 1.7, 1.9, 1.4, 1.5, 1.5 tremors here. Then down here, we see tremor increase. We also see magma coming into the magma chamber here, or going through the magma chamber here. This is also not a volcano. This is Lummi Island. Magma coming through the ground here, underneath the ground, headed to the volcano, Mount Constitution. But here we see an earthquake caused by magma headed to the volcano here. We see a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. A 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. This earthquake occurred at approximately 1:43 p.m. this afternoon. Okay? A 2.7, 2.8 earthquake happened after 1:33 this afternoon. That's what's going on here. Tremors and earthquakes hitting here at Lummi Island. Now you're not going to see anybody feeling these earthquakes until these earthquakes are up around 3.5, 3.6. Then you're going to see people feel these earthquakes. 3.5, 3.6, you're going to feel these earthquakes. 3.0 maybe. At 3.5, you're going to feel these earthquakes. Okay? Loomy Island here. Now, I want to show you Mount Constitution. This is the volcano here. Okay? Mount Constitution is about 40 miles southwest. 40 miles southwest of Mount Baker. Mount Baker is just south of the Canadian border. Mount Constitution is 40 miles southwest of Mount Baker. Now, in the past, when we've wanted to find information about Mount Baker and they've been hiding it, we believe that the seismic activity happening at Mount Constitution could also be happening at Mount Baker. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the magma chambers from this volcano also feed Mount Baker. The magma chambers that feed Mount Constitution also feed Mount Baker. So what we see here at Mount Baker could also happen at Mount Baker. What happens here at Constitution could also be seen to have happening on Mount Baker to the northwest or to the northeast. Here we're seeing nothing but tremors. The thicker lines you see happening here are all magma headed for the volcano, up inside the volcano here. Thicker lines meaning more magma, thinner lines meaning more or less magma. Okay? Thicker lines, more magma, thinner lines, less magma. Coming into the magma chamber of the volcano. Okay? Let's continue this. Alright. Let's go over Whidbey Island. There are people living on these islands. There are people living on these islands here in Washington State. Many people live on islands all over the United States. Volcanoes created those islands. For the most part, volcanoes created those islands. Someone sent me an email earlier today and I answered them. I'm going to give you the same answers I gave them. Okay? That email that I got mentioned that that woman had a friend who lived here on one of these islands here in the Puget Sound area, and that she was worried for their life. Would they survive by being on one of these islands? I don't know. I don't know. What did I tell you about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake? It's going to be a major dangerous earthquake. A very major dangerous earthquake. And what doesn't unalive somebody from the quake will unalive them when the tsunami wave hits. I should say tsunami waves, plural waves, because that's exactly what you're going to see. Mega waves coming in here after that earthquake. Okay? What doesn't unalive you during the earthquake will when the wave hits. Okay? What are we seeing here? What are we seeing here, guys? Oak Harbor, Washington. Oak Harbor, Washington here. We're seeing some earthquakes, aren't we? We're seeing some magma going into the magma chamber here. Okay? 1900 hours over here on the left. On the red line. 9:15 yesterday evening. Lines here are thin, they get thicker. They get thicker about 9:12 p.m. last night. And they get really thick on this black line here. Then they get thinner, don't they? Magma coming into the magma chamber. And the vertical lines on these individual lines, on these individual horizontal lines, mean tremors and earthquakes have hit. Magma coming into the volcanoes here cause these earthquakes to hit. Magma coming into these earthquakes cause rock fracturing. Magma coming in through these magma channels causes rock fracturing, which means earth movement. Earth movement. Now, what else have we seen here? What else have we seen here, guys? I see a big box here. This box happened over here on the left-hand side, then it continued on the black line here. Okay? The big red line here was midnight here on the left-hand side. So all the way over here, I'm sorry, it was actually 1:30. It was actually 1:30. Start over here in this red line. We have at least a 2.0 earthquake. However, over on here on the right hand side and over here on the left as well, it looks to me like the agency topped off this earthquake on the top and the bottom. So we are not seeing the total magnitude of the earthquake. We're not seeing the total magnitude of the earthquake. Then over on the left-hand side, it continues. Okay? Again, it's cut off at the top and cut off at the bottom. This would be at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake. 3.0, 3.5 earthquake. The agency cut off the top and they cut off the bottom. They don't want us to know the exact magnitude of the earthquake. They want to have to report it. So they cut off the magnitude of the earthquake. Okay? What a bunch of crap. The agency doesn't want to admit that they have good-sized earthquakes here. And by good, I mean very noticeable 3.5, 3.7, 3.8 earthquake. They don't want to admit to that. They don't want to admit to anything. They don't want to admit to anything. Look at the other tremors here, and look at the other magma coming into the magma chamber here. Now, yes, I'm talking about early this morning here. Early this morning. Okay? This black line here is over here on the left-hand side. It's 8 a.m. in the morning. We have magma coming through the magma channel, don't we? We absolutely do. We have the magma fracturing the rock in the magma chamber here, causing tremors here. Magma causing tremors here. You can see the tremors here on each individual line here. The magma coming in gets thinner, and you see less earthquakes here, and also less magma. The more magma we have coming through the magma chamber, the more earthquakes we're going to have, right? Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And we see it here and everywhere. We see it here and everywhere. Now, I don't care whether they want us to know what's going on or not. The more magma pouring into the volcano, the more earthquakes we're going to get. And yes, it can be dangerous. Down here at the bottom right. At the bottom right. Okay? On this black line, over on the left-hand side, it will be 1300 hours, 1 p.m. on the left-hand side. But over here, now we have 1:16 p.m. 1:16 p.m. Pacific time here. We see a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake hit here. Yes, we are getting earthquakes here. Not just small, not just minor. but we're seeing minor earthquakes hitting here. Not just tremors, not just minor earthquakes, but we are also seeing larger seismic energy. So far we haven't seen any 3.0 earthquakes except for once. Maybe once. Okay? Let me hurry here. It's already after 8 p.m. I want to show you volcanoes before we're over here. I want to go over to North Woodby, Oak Harbor. Look here. Again, we're seeing that same earthquake we had last night, early this morning. Same one. That means the seismic energy was felt all the way over here. Seismic energy was felt all the way over here, and this seismograph here recorded it. And you can see a lot of tremors, huh? Lots of tremors. And you can see magma coming into the volcanoes here. Magma coming through the magma chambers here, headed towards the volcanoes. Thicker lines feeding thinner lines. Thinner lines feeding thicker lines here. That's what's happened here. Whidbey Island. Let's look someplace else here. Let's look over at San Juan Island. Look here. We have tremors and minor earthquakes here. Tremors and minor earthquakes here. Unreal. Unreal. Up at the top here, that black line over on the left-hand side says 10 p.m. last night. The black line over here on the right is indicating we've had some tremor activity last night. Last night. About 10:11 p.m. to 10:12 p.m. last night, we had tremor activity here. It may have been as much as high as a 2.0 earthquake. 1.9, 2.0 earthquake here. Okay? How about the rest of the day? All night long was pretty quiet. Again, what does that mean? What are we seeing here? Nothing going on, or very little going on, which means the seismologist that's taken charge of these seismographs has turned the seismograph way down. Doesn't want it reporting seismic energy. Heaven forbid. What we're seeing on this black line after 6 a.m. this morning, over here on the right-hand side, now we're talking 6:15 this morning. 6:15 this morning, a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake. 2.2, 2.3 earthquake today. Okay? Prior to 3 o'clock this morning, there wasn't hardly anything going on. They shut it down. They shut it down so they don't have to report it. If it's not reported, it doesn't exist. If it's not reported, it doesn't exist. My dad used to say that. If it didn't get reported, it doesn't exist. If you don't report it, it doesn't exist. You and I reflect back on my law enforcement career. If I didn't report an incident, it never happened. If somebody got hurt in it, the incident never happened, what's that say about me? I wrote police reports. If I, for any reason, didn't remember something had happened, I didn't write it down. I wrote everything down. I carried a notebook in my back pocket. Everything that happened I wrote down. If something happened during my shift, I responded anywhere. I wrote the information down and I wrote a report. That's what these sons of a gun should be doing. They should be monitoring what's happening and write it down. Many times they're not. Yes, we are seeing tremors. We are seeing tremors. But if we're not, that means they didn't happen, right? Wrong. They did happen. But the agency did not report them. Okay? Now let's go from the islands. I want to go over to Mount Rainier. I'm going to show you two seismograms from Mount Rainier. This one here. This seismogram is at Camp Sherman. Camp Sherman is the top of Mount Rainier near the summit on the south side of the volcano. Camp Sherman. What are we seeing here? What are we seeing here? First off, let me enlarge this seismogram so you can see what we're seeing, what we're talking about. What is this red symbol here? This is a magma churn signal. Magma churn signals show up on seismograms when the magma is getting superheated, and as a result, it's enough superheated and it's under pressure, it shows up here on the seismogram. Why? Because it's under pressure, guys. It's under pressure. The seismogram here, this is called a magma churn signal. The churn signals here are usually 23 to 24 lines high. We're not seeing that, are we? That's because the agency doesn't want to see it. They reduced it. But we've come to an understanding of how strong earthquakes are and how strong the seismogram really is. How far was the seismograph turned down? Or how far was it turned up? Just what kind of earthquake are we having here? The seismic energy here from the magma in the volcano causes the magma churn signals to go from 23 to 24 lines high. 23 to 24 lines high. This particular seismogram, we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines high. 9 lines high. This is about 42% of real world. This particular seismogram is showing us data that's only 42% of real world. That means that the seismologists have turned down the seismogram almost 60%. Almost 60%. Okay? The length of the seismograph, or the magma churn signal, tells us how strong these other earthquakes are going, or tremors. Yes, we're seeing tremors here. The vertical lines to the right of the magma churn signal are telling us that there is steam coming from the volcano. Steam signals coming from the volcano. If there is a vertical line here, if there is a vertical line with a dot in it, that vertical line with a dot in it is an earthquake. On this blue line here. The blue line here represents 730 over on the left-hand side. Over here, this blue line represents approximately represents 7:10 last night. 7:10 p.m. last night. This is a 3.2 earthquake. 3.2 earthquake here at Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier. Up here at the top line on the red line, this would represent here 5:15 over on the left-hand side. This earthquake here happened at 5:11 p.m. last night. We only see the bottom part of this earthquake, but like the earthquake beneath it on the blue line, this earthquake was probably a 3.0 earthquake. And no, the top part of this earthquake did not show up on the seismogram just previous to this. The seismogram just previous to this should have showed this earthquake as well, but it did not. We have another earthquake over here in this black line here on the right hand side. This black line here is 10 p.m. over on the left hand side, and over here this is 10:22 p.m. last night. 3.3 earthquake. Another 3.3 earthquake here at Mount Rainier. These lines here that almost obscure any white of the seismogram. This is showing magma coming into the magma chamber. Thinner lines, less magma. Thicker lines, more magma here. That's what we're seeing. Magma pulse signals. Magma pulse signals here at Mount Rainier. This happened just after 3 a.m. this morning. 3 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. this morning. More earthquakes here. On this blue line here. This blue line here would represent 7:30 a.m. this morning on the left-hand side. Over here, this is 7:14 a.m. this morning. This thicker blue line here. This would be a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake. To the left of there is a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. Another 3.0 small earthquake here. And just over a minute later, another 2.3, 2.5 earthquake here. You see tremors all over here, don't you? Down here on this bottom blue line here. Over here on the bottom blue line is 2:30 p.m. here. So here we have 2:32 p.m. here, and we have a 2.8 earthquake. 2.8 minor earthquake here. Mount Rainier. What did we not see when we looked at the USGS map of Mount Rainier? They didn't show any earthquakes at all, did they? They did not show any tremors either. Nothing. But I'm showing you not just tremors here, but I'm showing you earthquakes here, and I'm talking about multiple 3.0 earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. Multiple 3.0 small earthquakes here at Mount Rainier, and one of those 3.0s was probably a 3.3 small earthquake. Mount Rainier, guys. Mount Rainier. Let me show you one more here at Mount Rainier, and then we'll go to Mount St. Helens. This is Emerald Ridge. Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge. This particular seismograph is what we call an HHN seismograph. HHN seismograph. The seismograph that is recording this data here is a multi-channel seismograph. Okay? This seismograph is a 4-channel seismograph. So we're able to record earthquakes, and we're able to also record magma coming into the magma chamber here. The wavy lines here represent very low frequency waves. Very low frequency waves. The very low frequency waves is caused by magma incoming into the volcano. That's what we're seeing here at Mount Rainier. Heavy-duty wavy lines here represent earthquakes. And yes, we saw some of those earthquakes here on the other seismogram at Mount Rainier. However, this kind of wavy lines here represents a lot of magma. A lot of magma would mean more earthquakes. That means we did have more earthquakes here at Mount Rainier, but the seismologist scrubbed the seismogram. The seismologist scrubbed the seismogram. They erased the data. They made sure that we didn't see all the data. The more wavy lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber, the more fraction rock that we're going to see inside the magma chamber. Magma's coming in under pressure. This pressurized magma is coming in here and it's fracturing the rocks inside the magma chamber, causing earth movement. We're not showing this on the seismogram because they stripped the seismogram. They erased the data. Let's go over Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens. I'm going to show you 3 seismograms. I'm going to show you East Dome Mount St. Helens, a seismograph that sits on top of the summit of the volcano. This is East Dome Mount St. Helens. Look at all the seismic energy here. This seismic energy happened between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. last night. 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. last night. The wavy lines you see here after 8 p.m. The wavy lines you see here after 8 p.m., guess what? This earthquake here was caught, this seismic energy here was recorded on the seismogram because of the earthquake, the 6.7 earthquake up at Svalbard in the Atlantic Ocean. The Svalbard 6.7 earthquake was recorded here on this particular seismogram. That's when it happened. Between 7:30 yesterday evening here Pacific time and 8 p.m. Pacific time. The wavy lines here are the Svalbard earthquake here. That's what we're seeing here. The Svalbard earthquake, guys. If anybody was anywhere near it, they felt it. Now, I don't know how many people live on the island of Svalbard. I have no idea. But if anybody lived on that island, I'm going to tell you right now. They felt the majority of this earthquake because this earthquake was just off the north shore of Svalbard Island. This was a powerful earthquake. This was a very strong 6.7 earthquake, regardless of what USGS says it was. They downgraded 6.5, and the seismogram only shows 6.2. Until we pull up the data from the seismographs. Then all of a sudden the seismographs tell us a very different story. It was at least a 6.7, possibly even a 7.1 earthquake. Yes, that is what one of the seismographs say about Svalbard. 7.1 major earthquake. Okay? This is East Dome Mount St. Helens. It's a seismograph standing on metal legs on top of Mount St. Helens. Let me show you another one. This particular seismogram is the SEP, September lobe. This spindly leg seismograph sits also on the top of Mount St. Helens, just down the way from EDM, East Dome Mount St. Helens. This particular seismogram also is a multi-channel seismograph. Again, if I went to the seismogram from SEP, which is this seismograph, it would show us some tremors. The seismograph that showed the tremors shows almost nothing. Almost nothing. That's because they scrub the seismologists scrub the seismogram. They don't want us to see what happened. What we're seeing on this HHM seismogram here is a lot of wavy lines. These are very low frequency waves caused by magma coming into Mount St. Helens under pressure. I'm sorry, Mount St. Helens had some 3.0 earthquakes early yesterday evening, on into about 9 p.m. last night. That's what we see here. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber after 5 p.m. until about 9 p.m. last night. Okay? A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber of this volcano. That's what's actually happening here. And again, the USGS doesn't want us to see it. They don't want us to see it. For whatever reason. I pretty much know the reason. I've been covering this activity for years now. 6 years now. In 2 weeks it'll be 6 years I've been showing this. Richard Smith says, would magma be the hammer that starts most seismic activity? Around the volcanoes, yes. Around the volcanoes, yes. Magma causes the earthquakes because it fractures the rock around the volcanoes, and anywhere there's a magma channel coming in off the Pacific Ocean, and we have a seismograph near it, it's recording magma coming through the magma chamber, which causes the earthquakes. Most seismographs are not tuned to look at magma chambers. They're not. They don't show it. But if you look at the specific seismograms, you can see what is magma and what is not. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber. The thinner lines, less magma, and the more earthquakes we could have. Okay? That's what we're seeing. Does anybody have any questions? Paul Clark says, I'm a Trump supporter, so am I. So am I. She says, I haven't listened to Howard Stern in a decade. Still don't want to either. I haven't listened to Howard Stern in a very long time either. Very, very long time. Not going to. Not going to. Now, Hurricane Heather says, who cares, Paula? Hurricane Heather, we talked about Howard Stern early in the broadcast. Howard Stern doesn't want any Republicans or conservatives to listen to his program. He made that statement earlier today, right here. He doesn't want any conservatives or Trump supporters to listen to his broadcast. We covered it. That's why Paula said that. That's why Paula said that. And I will tell you, I haven't listened to Howard Stern in a long time. Maybe 10 years, maybe longer. No problem, Heather. No problem. I just wanted you to understand why she said that. Now, since you guys don't have any more questions here, Demon Catman just put up our information here. Yes, I'd love to receive cards and letters and parcels. Our mailing address is 104 North Green Street, Box 105. Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina. Our zip code is 28655. That's where you can send us donations through the mail as well. A lot of people do. They stick a donation in the in the letter part and make sure the letter covers up the donation you sent, or inside of a card, and then you send it over to us. It happens a lot, or it has happened a lot. We have not received any mail at all in over 30 days. Over 30 days. And if we don't see any mail very soon, I'm going to cancel the post office box. I will cancel the post office box. It costs $160 for 6 months. We haven't had any donations to speak of in the mail in over a month. I cannot see paying any more money for a post office box we're not using. And at that point in time, I will give you my local address where I'm at, so you can still send us letters and cards. We appreciate that. Right now, you can also give us donations here on the chat room in the form of super chats. You can also send us donations through PayPal and Venmo. Just to the bottom of this video here, in the top of our program description, is our address to our PayPal and our Venmo accounts. We'd appreciate you helping to support our program. It keeps us on the air. Just a few days ago, last week, I spent $253 paying for bandwidth to broadcast this program. I found out over the years that it costs money to broadcast these programs. It's not cheap. Demon Catman just put our addresses here to PayPal and Venmo here on our chat. We appreciate that. Thank you so much, Demon Catman. I appreciate that. Now, since we don't have any more questions, I want to, at the end of our programs, like I've been doing, most of the end of our programs, I leave you with a devotional, something from the bottom of my heart, something that I pondered, something that I prayed about. And I also ask you yourself to pray and find out if what I'm telling you is true, because I believe it is. Now, as some of you might know, back in high school and college, I was on speech and debate teams. I still occasionally give speeches. I've talked to large and small groups throughout the country about emergency preparedness. When I was a young man, I was terrified to talk in church. If I was asked to give a talk in church, I was petrified. Then a friend of mine in high school asked me to join the speech and debate team. That scared the living kapok out of me. That scared me to death. But as I wrote speeches and I was on the debate team, where we were given a topic to talk about, I researched it and I became better and better at speeches, and I became better and better at debates. I can debate with the best of them now. But the seed of talking to groups was sown by a friend of mine. Later in life, I joined a group called Toastmasters. I don't frequently talk about that, but I joined a group called Toastmasters. I gave several talks to the Toastmasters group as well. When you initially join the Toastmasters, they ask you, or me, whoever it is, to give a talk about why we were there, where we came from, and what we want to get out of joining Toastmasters. I gave those talks. Because I had had speech and debate tournaments in high school and college, I was pretty good, but I became better. And after a while, when I started doing disaster drills and going to disaster sites and had to talk to groups, I was very good. I had my presentation material and I knew it. I knew it. Now, because I was giving talks in high school and college, it was not an everyday thing. every once in a while. And I thought, well, that will only be once in a while I'll ever give a talk again. Guess what? Later in life, I joined Toastmasters. Later in life in church, I was asked to give talks about Jesus Christ, my testimony of Jesus Christ. And as a result, my testimony of Jesus Christ has grown stronger and stronger as I bore my testimony to all of you. I had anticipated growth. Actually, it was unanticipated growth. I didn't realize how strong I could talk and how influential I was talking. People listened. Now, the ability to talk is not just about speaking. It's the art of speaking. It's a science. Now, I like to listen to people talk. I listen to people. I watch them write here in the chat. I watch them write stories. I watch them write newspaper articles and other news articles that I see. Understanding that, I've also written articles as well about news, politics, and preparedness. I'm pretty good at it. And I began understanding more people. And as a result, I've been spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ and also understanding where people were in their lives, and so I could help them. And I talked to them about helping them. Each session, each time I spoke, was a new lesson in humility. Each time I spoke to any group of people, whether it was at a disaster drill or at an actual disaster, trying to help people, or giving a talk in church, it was a very humbling experience. And I learned, and I grew. And 6 years ago, I started teaching this program every day, Monday through Friday. At first, it was every day, 7 days a week. And then I realized I couldn't do it 7 days a week. I had to do something else, give myself a break. Occasionally, I'll still do 7 days a week. Something happens. My wife realizes that. She lets me have that time. But over the years, I started realizing that my ability to talk was not just a chance occurrence. This has been a journey for me. My ability to talk to groups is not just a chance experience. It's been a divine purpose. There's been a divine purpose behind it. I believe the Lord has led me to do this. It's felt like God has placed me here. God has placed me here to talk to all of you, to share truth, to share experiences, to be able to help you prepare for emergencies and disasters in your own lives. When I speak, I take hours preparing. Hours and hours preparing. Over the years, I've probably given close to 120, 130, 150 speeches. Over the years. I've become better and better. This is something I believe the Lord's wanted me to do. And yes, the Lord has actually helped me and blessed me with this ability. I've gotten better and better at it over the years, but I'm still learning. The Lord is just not preparing me to do this for one time and one time only. The Lord has given me this ability and the opportunity to be with all of you. He's prepared me for this experience, this journey with all of you. Okay? When I was 13 years old, I rarely spoke in church. When I got in high school, rarely did I ever speak in a group until I joined that speech and debate team. From then, all bets were off, and I became better and better. Now, I don't have any awards but one for speaking. someplace in one of my boxes here in one of my closets, I do have an award for speaking. In and of itself, that award taught me a lot. That award taught me that people listen. That award taught me that I needed to be prepared when I spoke to people. And I don't take that very lightly. I became a missionary for my church when I was 19, and even before that. When I was 19 years old, I taught the gospel of Jesus Christ to hundreds and hundreds of people. During the 2.5 years I was a missionary in Sweden. After that, my missionary experience didn't stop. I have personally taught the gospel to hundreds and hundreds of people over the years. I've been bringing people into the gospel of Jesus Christ for a lot of years. Not because I overtalk them, but because I give them details of my journey. I give them details of what's happened to me and how they too can maintain and get a testimony of Jesus Christ. Okay? Talking is by a gift of faith. Faith that I believe in what I'm talking about. 2, I have faith in all of you. I have faith in all of you because I know all of you are listening and you are counting on me to give you information that could help you and save your lives. My duties are in many cases menial, but on the same token, they're very valuable and very important. I've spoken to church congregations. I spoken to groups of maybe upwards of 10,000 people at a time, as little as 3 or 4 at a time. Doing this program, I speak to 3 to 4 to 500, sometimes several thousand people at a time. I don't take that lightly. This is God's way of educating me and educating you. I know that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, our Savior. Christ has taught me to communicate. Christ has taught me to communicate. As a child, I learned to read. I learned to speak some, but was scared to talk to large groups of any kind. Even giving book reports scared the crap out of me. Now I've been instrumental in organizing this channel. Instrumental in helping organize groups to help people out in the field after a disaster or an emergency occurs. I've taken that literally. I want to make sure I can help all of you. Jesus Christ has helped me. Jesus Christ has blessed me. What am I asking of you? I'm asking of you to have some gratitude for the Savior yourself, for the blessings that He's given you. Have some gratitude. Exercise your faith. Exercise your faith. During this last 2 weeks, I talked about running a road race. It's not just a road race anymore. It's a race against time. It's a race against time between now and the next disaster that happens. It's a race against time because we know that the Savior Jesus Christ is about to return to the earth. I know that for a fact. I'm very grateful to the people that have given me the opportunity to speak before their groups throughout the years. I'm grateful for all of you, for also helping me. I'm grateful for the Lord helping me and nurturing me. Has given me a divine plan that I get to share with you. He helped me prepare for my mission to serve God and my fellow man. Right now, I'm more than ready to serve you, to help inspire you and lift you, and also educate you and get you to also know who Jesus Christ, our Savior, is. I ask you to think about this. Think about it. Like I said, I've talked about laps of a race. This is my gun lap. This is my gun lap, brothers and sisters. This is the high level of the race. This is the high level of the race. And we all can complete it together. Take the messages you've heard here to heart. Share these messages with everyone you meet. Your family, your extended family, your friends and your neighbors, the people you associate with on social media, and even the people you work with. Share this message far and wide. Yes, we do have earthquakes happening. That's because there's earthquakes building, seismic energy building. We're going to have a devastating earthquake. We need you to be aware of it. You need to prepare for it. Prepare for it physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And you might survive. I know the Lord loves you. And the Lord will bless you. I know that for a fact. Pray. Ask God yourself if what I have been telling you is true. Find out the truth of it yourself. I bear you my testimony that God does live. He hears and answers our prayers, and He will give you that answer yourself. May God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. Have a good night, brothers and sisters. I love you very much. We'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.